Hello and welcome to this new episode of TDO. In this episode I'm going to do a small update on the previous video I did on the Lidl 4K action camera that was released a few days ago in the UK, and at just short of £70 it's got a lot of interest because it seems like a good camera. A couple of questions I've been asked are: what accessories does it take? And does it have sound internally? Now, for the accessories, it comes with a couple of them for attaching to a helmet, but I also saw that this camera was very similar to a couple of other cameras out there. First was the Akasa V50 Pro, and very similar to that was the MG Cool Explorer 3. Now, they look almost identical to this Lidl 4K action camera, and those in turn seem to be an iCatch V50 camera. So iCatch being a Chinese company and are probably the company that originally make it and then badge it for these other companies. The main difference between the Lidl camera and those though is that those have inbuilt Wi-Fi and a remote control that comes with them, whereas the Lidl doesn't have that, doesn't have the small port on the top that shows the lights for the Wi-Fi. So I'm guessing either it doesn't have it, or interestingly I'm wondering whether it's disabled in firmware. So I'm going to have a look at that, but the problem with playing around with firmware is that there's a chance of bricking this device, and I don't really want to do that. The question on sound is easy to answer. Yes, it records sound. It's in 48 kilohertz and it's MPEG AAC. Now, it reports as stereo when you play in VLC, but having only one microphone inbuilt, then obviously that's just mono through both speakers. But interestingly, on the other models that I'd seen, on the Akasa, there was an option of an external microphone that plugged into the micro USB port. So as they were so similar, I thought I would take a risk, and it was only £9 something, so I ordered from Amazon this external microphone, and which came today, and I plugged it in and it works. When you plug in the external microphone, the sound from the external microphone is recorded to one of the audio tracks, with the other audio track keeping the internal sound. So you actually get both audio at the same time, and you can pick and choose between them. So let's see how that sounds. The great thing about using an external microphone with this camera is that it keeps my voice constant to you, the viewer, and anything touching the camera isn't heard. For example, if I tap the camera with the external, you can't hear it. But if I switch back to the internal microphone, you can hear it. Which means that now I can show you whatever I want and my voice stays constant. The great thing about using an external microphone with this camera is that it keeps my voice constant to you, the viewer, and anything touching the camera isn't heard. For example, if I tap the camera with the external, you can't hear it. But if I switch back to the internal microphone, you can hear it. Which means that now I can show you whatever I want and my voice stays constant. And here we have my setup for overhead shots on my workbench, and I've made it a very simple affair. I've taken out one of the drawers and in its place put this piece of wood, and on the end I've got a small adjustable adapter using the tripod mount on the camera, so I can still see the screen, I can get at all the settings, I can get at the buttons at the front, and although it's upside down I'll simply flip the image in my editing software. And if we switch to it now, here we are looking at my desk. And what I can do now is I can show you what the camera comes with in terms of accessories, because I didn't do that last time. It comes with this zip lockable bag, and inside, if we tip these out, are the accessories you get with it. And you get these two helmet adapters. They work with the two sticky pads that you get with it. One is flat and I think one of them's got a slight camber to it, just a very slight curve, and they, with the stickers, work to attach to the helmet. Then you've got this small buckle part which attaches to the case itself, and that just goes on there, and you use one of these to attach it to the camera, and then this latches in so you can remove it from the helmet whilst leaving the attachment plate in place. Now if you didn't want to use the camera in the case, which obviously stops the touchscreen from working, if you're using it in a more safe environment, you can put this surround around the camera and use that instead. Works in the same way. You also get a cable to connect it to a computer or to a 5-volt mains adapter for USB, but you have to supply the mains adapter yourself, but everybody's got one of those these days, so that's not really a problem. Helps keep the cost down, I guess, as well. The other thing you get is a small spanner, and that goes over here, so you can get a bit more purchase if your grip's not great for just tightening it up. So that's the parts that you get with it. So let's push those out of the way. And next we'll look at the microphone. Now I got the multimeter out, the continuity tester, and I can tell you it's a very standard microphone. I'll just cut to a picture of it now that I took when I had it apart. So there's no special electronics, it's just what looks like a small condenser microphone to a couple of the pins on the connector, and I've seen on the internet there are even connections that will take it to a 3.5mm audio jack. So I can't guarantee it would work, but in theory you could use that and use whatever microphone you want. Or this microphone that I ordered from Akaso, which is for the V50 Pro that we talked about from Akaso, works perfectly as I showed earlier. And the other thing I purchased was an accessory kit. So I was looking for different ways of mounting it. So we'll have a look at what that came with. First of all, just a very simple grippy tripod. That just uses the tripod attachment on the bottom of the camera. Then you've got quite an interesting float. Comes with a lanyard, and again that works by connecting there onto there, and you could use that in the water, in a water park or something like that, or in the river, and you shouldn't lose your camera because it should float, and then you can use a lanyard on it to hold it on your wrist. You could also just use it as a way of holding your camera, but when I demonstrated it earlier I was using this because then you can quite happily use it as a tripod. It's a comfortable grip, but whichever one works for you. If you need to use it in the case, then obviously this is the better option. You get some kind of crocodile clip, so you can just clip the camera on wherever, again using this same attachment. It also comes with this chest harness, so you can put that on and then use one of the attachments that come with it, and that clicks in to the front, and again the camera would go on here, so you can have it on your chest. It comes with even more helmet adapters and the sticky pads that go with that. You've then got this, which is for going over the top of a helmet, or could go over your head directly, and it's got grippy material to stop it slipping, and again the camera can go on the front there. Or you also get this, which goes on the front to extend the camera. So you could have the camera looking directly at you. You also get an attachment to go on a handlebar of some kind, or any kind of bar. A wrist strap, so you can mount the camera, so you can have it easily pointing at you, and that rotates. This one, which is a strap, which again uses the clips, I'm not entirely certain what this is for. It also comes with this sucker type attachment, so you could use that on your windscreen, inside your car for example, or on the outside even of the car. And that uses the tripod attachment underneath. What I haven't tried is to see whether I can take this off and put the camera inside of its box. Yes, that seems to. Yep, that seems to work too. So if you put that on the outside of your car for an action shot and it gets wet, no problem. I'm not sure what these are. It's obviously something that needs to be kept dry, so I'll investigate those small pads. And it comes with this small lanyard type attachment that sticks to it. I'm guessing these are sort of safety cords in case you wanted to, for example on here, attach it as well. Maybe. Who knows? Again, I'll need to look at the photos for that.
So I hope that's answered all your questions. I'll include some links below to the products I bought off Amazon so you know which ones I purchased. Word of warning though, when I was doing some research on the Akaso V50, there were some people who were saying that the microphone that they'd purchased didn't work on the camera. That might be something to do with the microphone, it might be something to do with the camera. The version of the firmware might also be something to do with it. This is the version of the firmware that was on my camera. If yours is the same, hopefully you'll have the same results I have. I'm looking forward to using the camera now for the overhead shots, but also with the accessories and the external microphone I can use it for other shots for this channel. So check back soon. Until then, goodbye.
Let me see your identification. We don't need to see his identification. Follow me. Hold on.